Overpowered characters. A fictional archetype that we glaze to no ends on this channel. Your Gokus, your Saitamas, your pretty boy nonchalant Gojos, the whole shebang. They are such a sheer force of dominance that nobody in their universe can do anything about it. And these type of characters are so unmatched that it gets to a point where you kind of just sitting there as they just eviscerating people on screen for the 20th time in the series. And you're left sitting there thinking, yo, ref, do something, please! A while back, I made a similar video to this talking about overpowered characters, and y'all was fucking with it heavy, so I think it's about time that we run it back and dive deeper into the art of these overpowered characters, starting off with the one and only. Been multiple generations of Beyblade as of present day, but the one thing I think that has stood the test of time is Ryuga being the most overpowered and most dominant character throughout all the generations of Beyblade. And yes, I'm saying he's better than Jinga, Volt, Iger, Louie, Tyson, Kai, everyone. He was out here stunting on motherfuckers, had people quaking in their boots just because of his mere presence. And it wasn't like this dude was just overpowered for no reason. This man was literally just built different. Let me just list off some of his feats in chronological order for y'all. First things first, Ryuga completely humbled the protagonist of the anime while simultaneously rage baiting him and slandering the shit out of his own father. Then fast forward a bit to the Battle Bladers tournament, and this man was such a threat that he proceeded to put 3 of his opponents in the hospital with every single one of them on life support. As a kid, this deadass felt like Ryuga was straight up killing motherfuckers. Look how he was doing Kyoya, had this man doing the Rengoku special. And one of these opponents that he put in the hospital straight up retired from Beyblading after she got beat by him. He was instilling generational trauma within this girl Hikaru. And from that point on, when Hikaru even thought about picking up her Beyblade again, she was thinking,
nah, Ryuga got that shit, I'm tweaking.
And then when he had his whole showdown with Jinga in the final battle, which by the way was genuine plot armor bullshit, cause what is this, dog? He over here getting spiritually jumped by his ops, like no bullshit, this is what happened. And because of Jinga jumping him with the power of friendship, he took one of his only 2 losses in the entire show. And he ended up doing some self-reflection after losing and said, yo, that shit is never happening again. For the rest of my life, I will never lose to a casual blader with the power of friendship on his side. So this man went back to the lab to put in that work. And this dude went to a damn volcano and trained so hard that his Beyblade evolved into Medio El Drago. This man was quite literally conquering his inner demons. In the entire time that Ryuga had this version of El Drago, he didn't lose once. During the time he had Medio El Drago, he was genuinely just nonchalantly off doing his own thing like his name Miles Morales. He would pop up randomly in an episode, completely no different character that the series was hyping up to be very strong, and then leave without saying anything else. There was this one episode where he ain't even launched his Beyblade properly. He threw that shit out with the most minuscule spin on it and ended up still botting every single NPC that tried him. And it's shit like this why people will say that this is arguably his best era. But then we also have the El Drago Destructor era of Ryuga, which might not be his best era, but is my personal favorite because of what I like to call running the ones with every single legendary blader and just completely booming them. It didn't matter who it was. Oh, there's a new character that literally turns into a goddamn Super Saiyan and also has a left spinning Beyblade like Ryuga. It did not matter. It was free eats for him. It was also during this time that bro showed Kenta that there was for real levels to this shit. This man was walking through a sandstorm like it was a regular Tuesday. And for those of you wondering, I will affirm your thoughts. Yes, Beyblade was this serious. In elementary school, I was deadass thinking that I could fight a tornado if I trained as hard as Ryuga did. That is how overpowered this man was. I also know for a fact that Ryuga just wanted to throw this man Kenta down a ravine every second that he tried following him. This era of Ryuga also harbors one of my favorite scenes from him in the entire series. This man stared down a lion in the wilderness with so much intimidation that it ran away. Who do you know is doing some shit like this? This man is not human. The only other time that this man definitively lost to someone without it being some power friendship bullshit was genuinely just unfair because he was battling a damn god of destruction. It took an evil Beyblade of death death to run a 1v1 with this man. Unfortunately, this is where my goat would perish in his final ever battle. But even after he died, he still managed to be the GOAT. He gave this man Kenta the greatest alley-oop Zenkai boost I've ever seen. He became the new legendary blader in Ryuga's place. Like, there is no other character from the Beyblade series that could replicate the aura that Ryuga had. Free De La Hoya is cool and all, but let's be for real, he's just a discount version of this man right here. Ryuga might be the most overpowered character I've seen in anime during my childhood. And speaking of overpowered characters I've seen in my childhood, why don't we also talk about... Sometimes you're gonna get fictional characters that will show up once in the entire series, completely obliterate the main character for the love of the game, and disappear with no further explanation. Because that's what Tobias' whole character was in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. And bro, I'm not gonna lie, watching this dude dog walk on Ash after he pulled a masterclass with Infernape and defeated Paul as a child and as a grown adult now feels like actual rage bait in its purest form. Because what do you mean after Ash finally beat Tobias' ace Pokemon in Darkrai, which nobody else in the tournament was able to do, and took the effort of Ash sending out half his entire team to get bodied, this man sends out a fucking Latios as his second Pokemon. Like, how does he have this? I know for a fact Ash was looking like this as soon as he saw his Sceptile had to now battle another goddamn legendary after he put his entire life on the line to take out Darkrai. He was genuinely accepting his fate right at this very moment. He knew he was cooked. Tobias was dead, moving like the prime 2017 Warriors on steroids the entire tournament, sweeping every single one of his opponents with just his Darkrai until he battled Ash. This shit was actually unfathomable levels of bullshit because there was no lead up or backstory to Tobias either. This for real felt like one of the animators who worked on Pokemon self-inserted himself into the show and made it so that he had two of some of the strongest Pokemon of all time. The thing that sucks is that we can only imagine what the rest of this man's Pokemon lineup was because we didn't even get to see his whole lineup once in the entire franchise. This man showed up for a short period in Diamond and Pearl to completely ruin Ash's chances of winning the Sinnoh League and then leave. And it sucks because after all that dominance he showed in Sinnoh and having what is presumed to be a stacked team, Cynthia was still the champion of Sinnoh when Pokemon Journeys rolled around. So either A, he couldn't beat Cynthia, or B, he couldn't even challenge her in the first place and lost to someone in the Elite Four with Darkrai and Latios on his roster, which is low-key embarrassing. Like, how you gonna do that after showing the main character that there were genuine levels to this shit? Anyways, at least this next character that we gonna be talking about, as far as I know, has reminded me and continues to remind everyone that time and time again, he is the strongest and pretty much the Gojo Satoru of his universe every single time he shows up. Next up, we got... I don't think people understand just how little Reinhardt gets mentioned when people bring up the topic of overpowered characters. The fact that he be pulling some of the craziest shit in his verse since the moment he popped up in ReZero and nobody talks about him as much as Gojo is beyond me. There should be 10 times the amount of edits for this man than there are right now, and the glaze for this man should be through the roof. During his first appearance in the show, this man blew up an entire house using this raggedy ass sword that's not even his, and then in his fight with Regulus, bro got his ass sent to the moon like his name Team Rocket. Any normal person in his situation would be suffocating in space, and that's all she wrote. But this man just nonchalantly comes back a smooth 10 minutes later from the moon in a fiery blaze, and then he proceeds to completely disrespect the hell out of Regulus, gave this man a little taste of his own medicine, sent him flying into the air, landed on top of his back while he was falling, and then pimp slapping him back to the ground so hard he died. And I haven't even talked about this little ass nuclear bomb he carrying around disguised as a sword. This big ass magical sword he carries around can only be unsheathed when the sword itself judges that Reinhardt is facing someone that is a worthy threat. Mind you, Reinhardt so far in the anime has only been able to draw his sword once. He could not unsheath this sword when going up against a deadly assassin that cooked the main character more than 3 times, and an archbishop of the witches cult that blicked Ren's entire existence in the world of ReZero off a cliff, and the sword still said,
"Nah, they not worthy opponents for you."
That's how you know this motherfucker is too overpowered. The only time he was actually able to use it was against a fake clone of his grandmother who was the original wielder of the sword. I'm convinced that if he were to use this sword on somebody full power, he would deadass blow up the entire planet. Now, the last thing I want to mention about Reinhardt, and probably the most ridiculous thing I have seen from an overpowered character, is that he just be getting blessed. Blessed with what exactly? An entire essay's worth of divine protections. And dog, this entire list is on some bullshit, bro. Especially these four. The divine protection of blue skies, teary skies, new skies, night skies, saying that he becomes stronger whether it's nice weather, raining, night, or day. At that point, bro, just say he's always strong. He don't need all these. Hold on, I'm reading this shit again. And does that say he got a protection of salt seasoning so that he doesn't mistake it for sugar? Bro, what? We genuinely just making shit up now. This is worse than Sukuna pulling out things we've never seen him do in JJK and say some, oh, I haven't used this technique since the Heian era. Like, refs, please do anything challenge, because what is this? I ain't naming the rest of all these divine protections, but I know for a fact that every and any ability or buff that you could think of to make yourself stronger, this man Reinhardt got it. Anyways, that's basically all I had today. Moral of the video, just know the refs ain't ever doing shit.
Pull up on my block, we smoke that AEO.